From the John DeVito Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Paranormal Radio with Bob Trzeciak on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack-O-Lantern FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich. So sit back and enjoy Paranormal Radio with the king of Paranormal Radio, Mr. Bob Trzeciak.
Thank you, John. Thanks very much. King of Paranormal Radio. I was just in Target today before I came here. I stopped at the mall there because I got here very early. I had some shopping to do anyway, and there was a shirt there, T-shirt that said, "I just can't wait to be king." You know, from the Lion King. I thought I should buy this, and I thought, nah, I don't think I got too big of an ego. But King of Paranormal, it's actually starting to catch on. We're actually doing very well. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. Halloween season here. We're just a couple of days away. We actually take the show on the 29th. So you'll be hearing it, though, on Jack-O-Lantern FM. You'll be hearing it on Jack 89.7 on Halloween. They're going to air the broadcast. And then also, too, within a day or two, our producer, John Shikanda, will also air put the shows up on YouTube. And you can also hear on the Windy City Network, www.windycityhometown.com. Okay, hope everyone is having a wonderful Halloween season. We just have a couple people to thank here. I would like to thank Miss Kelly White. She's I guess she's somewhat of a freelance writer. She writes for a few of the local newspapers out where I live, out in Alsip and the Evergreen Park area and that thing. She did a real nice story on me when I was doing one of my presentations the week before last at the Evergreen Park Library there. And she put that in a couple of papers. It's in the Reporter, and it's also in the Des Plaines Valley paper. So thank you very much for that. That was a very nice story. She actually put my picture in there. Wow. Holy cow. So, yeah, so it was kind of nice. Yeah, so thank you very much for doing that. Also to the nice people over at Midnight Terror. It's been a nice season with you folks there. Very nice bunch of people to work with. If you listened to last month's show, we had a couple of the girls come out, Jasmine and the other young lady. They came out and they talked about Midnight Terror, the haunted house over there on 111th Street there, right across from the Holy Sepulchre Cemetery. So they'll be going strong now. They are closed tonight. For some reason, they chose not to remain open tonight, so that was a good way for me to do the broadcast, work that in tonight. But they will be open tomorrow, and they will be open on Halloween from, I think they open from 7 probably till 11 or till midnight they may go on Halloween. And then also, too, on Saturday, which will be November 3rd, they're doing a clown run house or something where everything from Halloween goes and it all goes over to like Killer Clowns or whatever that is. And they're doing that on Saturday. So just a couple things they got going on with them there. So some other extra entertainment if you're looking for that. Oh, boy, let's see here. Tonight, we have Mr. Pete Crapia, who's no stranger to Paranormal Radio. Pete's been on before. Yeah, all of a sudden, I don't know if I could hear you, Pete.
Yeah.
There you go. There you are. Yeah, I could hear you. And then we have Paul. Paul prefers us not to say his last name, which is fine with me, so we're just going to refer to him as Paul. Paul, thank you so much. Welcome to Paranormal Radio.
Oh, thank you very much.
First timer. Good. You sound real good on there, too. Yeah.
Yeah, really nice and loud. You can barely hear me, though.
Yeah. And you guys are two Bachelors Grove nuts.
Yes, we met at Bachelors Grove.
Oh, okay.
In a unique way.
And I met you at Bachelors Grove.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Bachelors Grove seems to be the place to go to meet people, isn't it? Yeah,
that's right. Well, it's kind of like a bar, but happier.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, exactly.
A little bourbon. And
yeah, it's one of those type of things. Okay, Pete, what do you want to start off with here? You always have something interesting to say.
Well, how me and Paul met. Maybe that would be a good start.
Yeah, let's hear that. Let's get the intro on that.
I arrived at the cemetery, and not even 5 minutes later, you come walking in, right? And you like beelined it right at me.
Yeah, so I like to use the trails across from Bachelors Grove. I go there for like a little run every once in a while, and I haven't been in Bachelors Grove in years to this point, and I wanted to go back there and take some photographs for something else I was working on, and I just saw him in the seminar. I was so happy to be there again, and I was taking pictures, and we just started talking, and I kind of was telling him a little bit about my backstory of Bachelors Grove, and
now, wasn't this really the first time you were telling your story, though, to the public?
Yes, it was.
Just a random person, me, and that's when I thought maybe you knew me, but you didn't know me.
I know, I had no idea who you were.
So I found the story very exciting.
I'm not. I've never really been into the paranormal world or anything growing up or whatnot.
Okay,
so this was just all kind of a very coincidental thing. But I've been involved in Bachelors Grove though for a long time, years ago.
Did you have any experiences at Bachelors Grove? Any experiences with the paranormal?
Well, you can. Yeah, over time, I guess you can get into it in some ways, right?
Depends
on how you define what he's witnessed, but
okay, yeah,
yeah. So I've made a lot of entries there. straight out of like high school and college for a span of maybe about 5 years.
Okay.
And I at the time I couldn't say that I saw or felt or anything out of the ordinary. And
Right.
Well, then what were you entering? What were you kept like a little journal?
This
You
is
were
where
entering
the twist comes in, right?
What were you?
right.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we weren't going in there specifically for the paranormal. My buddy Ed kind of started the whole thing for us when we were driving around that area one night, and he said to us like, "Hey, this place Bachelors Grove," and I had never heard of it up to this point. And he was kind of telling us how it's like a real hot spot for ghosts, and he said that there's devil worshiping and all the stuff that goes on back there, and I couldn't stop thinking about it that whole night, you know. So when I got home, I was thinking about it and going to sleep thinking about it, and when I woke up the next day, I contacted another buddy of mine who was in the car, and we're like, hey, we got to go check this out. You know, let's go see if we can find these devil worshippers, you know.
Oh, so that's what it was. You were interested in the devil worshippers. Okay.
Yeah.
So not so much the supernatural occurrences, like, you know, the normal things people claim to have witnessed at Bachelors Grove. You're interested more in that
Right.
part of it. Oh, okay.
Right,
So that's
right.
kind of what brought you to the cemetery.
Right.
Well, that would bring you there at an odd hour, too. You wouldn't be there during daylight hours looking for that. You'd have to be there at
No.
night.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Oh, all right. Oh, interesting.
So yeah, when we first started going, we were, you know, just kind of making these entries. We had no idea about this place or the ins and outs of it, and I mean,
You know, in a way, that's a good way to go into it. It really is. It's
Yeah.
good. It's good to go into something not knowing. It really is. 'Cause we-
Especially that place.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, but of course, it's so well known. It's almost hard to find someone that has not at least somewhere along the line heard of Bachelors Grove Cemetery, because it's a very well known paranormal hotspot. So, you know, most people have heard of it, seen things about it. There's a few magazines out now at the newsstands and stuff, and they're listing it as like one of the most haunted spots in the world, and all of this. So, yeah, so it gets its name out there. So it would be almost kind of hard to find someone that has not at least heard something about it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over the years, it's really picked up momentum of
Oh, yeah.
mainstream,
Mhm. Yeah.
especially, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, always was. So actually, what put you out there was the devil worshippers. Now, you don't do this yourself.
No. We had a group of guys that did it.
Oh, you met a group out there that did this.
No, we were all friends, like lifelong friends.
Okay.
That we all just kind of huddled together, and we're like, hey, let's go try and experience something very.
I think he
unique.
was asking the whole.
I'm sorry.
You're not the devil worshippers.
No, negative.
No,
No,
you're not,
no, no.
You're not them.
No.
I knew that, but I just wanted to.
Nor
I just wanted to get that across over the.
No,
I knew you weren't, but I just wanted to get that across over the radio. So when we're talking, people that are listening to this, they know just exactly who you are and where you stand. Okay.
Right.
All right. So I just wanted to make that clear. You're not a devil
No, he
worshiper.
just,
No.
his main focus was interested in the devil worshiping aspect of the place.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's what brought you there, to see if there's any truth to this witchcraft and devil
Correct.
worshiping. I had heard of all this many years ago. Quite honestly, I was not aware that it was still going on, but apparently this is still something that goes on there.
It's pretty weak,
Yeah.
but well, anyway, I don't want to interrupt
Yeah.
the story. So
Yeah.
so
Oh,
go
no.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So this was back. We first started this maybe in 2000, and
Okay, so about
through
18 years. Okay, so it's
2004.
been going on for a while. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We stopped in 2004, and then we kind of
What did you stop? You stopped.
like making entries and all that.
Oh, so you stopped
yeah, that
making
was the
notes
end of it.
things. What
Yeah.
exactly were you noting down? Were you noting down people that were there? Were you noting down things that were going on, rituals that may have been going on? What were you actually noting?
Actually, I didn't start noting until year 2007. So
Okay.
after our experiences were done back there, I had gone in close to Halloween in 2007.
What were the experiences? Boy, I got a lot of questions I want to
Right.
ask here. So you said after our experiences were done, what were your experiences that were done?
So I'd say I couldn't even tell you how many entries we made, but there was maybe 5 or 6 off the top of my head that we actually kind of collided with them.
Okay. Oh, okay. So
We got a lot of information about who they were, who they actually were,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it actually isn't as sophisticated as like devil worshiping with rituals, and it wasn't. It was more of like gothic groups that were
I get you,
just kind
okay.
of back
that's
there.
kind of why I say weak. A lot of that stuff out
So it's
there
not
is
actual-
like
it's
lower
not-
level.
it's not like actual authentic satanic worship, that type of thing.
Well,
As far
burning
as I know,
bodies, if it,
Yeah.
Unless
okay.
people were
All
burning
right.
coffins back in the
Yeah.
day, but that's not the same level. I think.
Coffins or corpses, skulls, and things like that. So actual.
But this is more
satanic
modern
worship.
times
Okay,
that
yeah.
we're in here.
Yeah, there was apparently multiple groups back there.
Okay.
One group apparently, I mean, this is all secondhand information that we got later on.
Hmm.
One group was kind of like an aggressive group.
Secondhand information. Excuse me for interrupting.
Sure.
It can sometimes not be such a credible source when you're
Correct.
getting it secondhand.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
it came time that we had to figure out what we were actually dealing with, or who we were dealing with, who we were even looking for. So my cousin, he was kind of like, he didn't go in with us, but he was like the research guy, and he started reaching out. This was back before.
So your motive was actually to go in there, see if these people were there, investigate them, find out what they were doing, and just see what this was all about.
Well, we wanted to confrontation.
Yeah, it's a little bit more elevated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. Maybe I'll just start with like a
No,
timeline.
it's okay.
or-
Yeah.
No. I'm just. I
Okay.
know. I kind of
So
know a
far
little
it's
bit of the
playing out pretty
story.
good. It's
I
a good
kind of know a
timeline.
little bit with
Okay.
this, but I'm just listening to this and I'm thinking, gee, our listeners going to understand this. Are they going to know what's going on? So that's why I'm doing this just
Sure.
to clarify it for them, because we kind of know what's going on here, but I want to make sure
Okay.
people that may listen to this broadcast understand where you're coming from.
Sure,
That's why I'm
sure.
saying these things. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were in there all intention to go in, find what we perceived as devil worshippers,
Okay, yeah.
and confront them and make them go away.
Okay.
If they were harmful to people, you know what I mean? We weren't.
Did
we
you
don't want to
did
be
you
bullies.
find them harmful to people? Did you things you witnessed out there, things you may have noted
Yes.
down? You did find harmful things.
Yes.
Harmful in what way? What were they actually doing that would be harmful?
There were times where we had made entries and people were coming out. Our main path in was
The Menard place, wasn't it?
the
Yeah, behind the
Menard,
cell
yeah.
phone towers.
We used to
kind
call
of
it
thing.
the tunnel entrance because the way the trees are formed, it's like this big circle.
The back door.
But
so
the
to
cluster
speak.
of homes that are by the cell phones.
Gotcha.
There's
Correct.
a
Yeah.
back entry
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So we would come through there, and I think that was probably a pretty mainstream entrance. We would run into a lot of like curiosity seekers and whatnot
Sure.
on that entrance. So when we were coming in one particular night, there was groups of people coming out, and they were really shook up. I remember a guy and a girl walking towards us, like she was kind of like holding on to the guys, crying, and like, hey, what's going on back
So
there?
something back there startled them, or
And they said, yeah, there's people jumping out of trees back there. There's like all these guys in cloaks running around, and we're like, hey, let's go.
That's
so,
what you were there for, right?
Yeah.
guys in cloaks and hoods and things like
Yeah.
that. Running around. Okay, so these would be some people who are devil worshippers or devil worshipper wannabes.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All
Correct.
right.
Yeah. So we make our way back there, and,
Mhm.
and sure enough, there was like more people we kind of confront on the path. Like, hey, don't go back there. There's some nuts running around back in the cemetery, and
Okay.
that just kept fueling us to keep going forward.
But was there, outside of it, maybe startling people? Of course, and now of course you're in the cemetery. It's after dark. You're in a cemetery that's known for a lot of strange activity, even during the daylight hours. And now, if people start jumping out of trees and stuff that are wearing cloaks and hoods, I think most people would tend to be a little
Sure.
startled by something like this.
Sure.
But were they actually doing like any physical harm or anything to anybody? Were they actually, outside of startling them and shaking some people up, were they actually, maybe having physical contact and that
I
type
think
of
that
thing?
was toward the end, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Then
thought
this
so.
story is more towards the end of
Yeah.
of
Okay.
our stay there.
So I'm,
more
I'm
physical.
putting the cart in front of the horse then. huh?
Sure,
Okay.
I can I can get into
Okay.
one that was an actual confrontation that was a little bit further prior to this story. So we had gone in the middle of like spring, like April, and usually by then we're really not looking for much in there. They could be, I don't know, but for that entrance we really weren't looking to really
Sure.
collide with them. But we had just gone in, we missed it. We didn't go in all winter. We're like, hey, let's go get our legs again. Go check the place out, see if there's any big changes, and kind of ran into the cemetery area, which nothing, as far as I'm concerned, with the people we were looking for, ever really happened in the actual cemetery.
Okay. Yeah.
So we kind of ran around there a little bit, and we were always big believers in respecting the grounds in that place. We would never.
Yes, I'm a firm believer in that too, in any cemetery for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah. And for some reason, we never really stopped when we were in there and just kind of listened and focused on the environment. And, we would always go in and look around real fast and, nothing's here, let's go. And we'd leave, or we'd kind of go through some back trails and whatnot and couldn't find it, we'd leave. But for whatever reason that night, it was just a very peaceful, calm night. The moon was out real bright. And
Okay. Yeah.
we kind of stopped. There was this fallen tree in the cemetery that had just must have recently happened. And we were kind of hovering by where the top of the tree would be, the leaves
sure.
and all that. And we're just
Okay.
kind of sitting there, and I'd say a good few minutes. Looking back, it's hard because it was a long time ago, and trying to fill in these details of. I remember the big things that happened, and I try to fill in the details as best as I can. we started hearing like noises from across the creek, like almost like whispering, talking, and I'm kind of listening, and I'm like, that's got to be people, because there's no rhyme or reason or pattern to the noise.
There's
like
more people sneaking in.
Right,
kind of
like
thing.
because like animals usually have the same repetition. You know what I mean? When they So I look over at my friend and the guy that's always made entries with me, and I could see him perked up. I'm like, you hear that? And he's like, yeah, I hear I hear it. Like people talking over there. So like, hey, let's go check it out. So we come back around out of the cemetery, and we take that trail. It would just be to the south of the cemetery, along the fence, and it leads you to the creek.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
The old road.
Yeah.
For people referencing.
Right. So we get there to the creek itself. We had there were 3 of us there. The first guy goes over the creek, the rocks, boom, right over. The second guy goes halfway, slips on a rock, falls into the creek. I mean, it wasn't very deep at the point, but
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't winter, so.
right.
Yeah.
So his, but maybe halfway up his arm,
Okay.
and his,
Yeah,
his
all right.
chest got wet a little bit, and he gets. I mean, as serious as you want to be, you have to start laughing at that point.
Yeah, sure.
His buddy just fell in the creek.
I can't tell you how many people I know have fallen into that creek.
So, we get across. Now we made this big scene. He takes his sweatshirt off, kind of ties it around his waist. Now he's got this white T-shirt on, glowing. At the night.
Mm-hmm.
So we still made a good effort. We went back there, and it just seemed like everything was gone. And we're like, man, we blew it.
Okay.
But maybe it was nothing
So
anyway.
you were going there with the intention of possibly catching
But the whole
somebody or
intention is
something.
to confront them, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, now, why are you so big on confronting these people? Pete knows how I operate, and he knows I like to play the devil's advocate, no pun intended,
Sure.
for the
No.
show. But
I think male testosterone plays a role.
do these
Yeah, we
people,
were young.
But do these people just not have a right to be there, too? I mean, if they're really not actually physically harming anyone.
You
or
know
anything,
what? Some of these people are not that friendly out there. And I
Okay.
think that's where this kind of plays a role in what you were doing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that aren't friendly in the real world anyway, outside of
Sure,
cemetery world
sure.
and paranormal world. But I'm saying, and like I said, you know me, I like to play the devil's advocate here, and they would have a right to be there too, would they not?
I would agree
I
with
mean,
you.
yeah.
Especially now that I'm an adult,
If it's- yeah, if it's
But
like-
as a
if-
kid,
yeah, I was
we
gonna say,
were
yeah.
just looking for
And if
adventure.
it's some sort of a personal vendetta or something
No,
you
it
got
wasn't.
against this, you'd say, well, all right, I could see you're, sort of against this type of thing,
Yeah.
and you say, no, this doesn't belong any place, that kind of thing like that. But if it's a child's, like a kid's thing when you're teenaged,
Yeah.
those wild years like that, you're just kind
Right.
of looking for something to go on. Yeah.
We kind of looked at it as like, we were always involved in adventurous kind of stuff,
Mhm,
and it's
yeah.
like, well, if we want to confront people, we weren't the type to go to bars and start fighting people, and I mean,
No, let's go to the
that's
cemetery.
So like, let's go to somewhere where we think is like people that might, be doing harmful things, and
Okay.
we
And
just
that made it a little
justify
justified, right?
you justify it to yourself
Okay,
in that way.
sure, all right.
But you lost your chance, and I think I remember at some point you ran into some people that were in distress.
Yes.
On another visit.
Right. Well, this one here, I'll continue with this story. So we exit out now. My buddy got all wet. Right. We exit out back the way we came in. We're kind of running back towards that old tunnel entrance behind the cell phone
Something,
tower.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And as we're on it, I start to hear like thumping, like footsteps coming from my right, which would be the south, and a little bit behind me.
Okay.
There's like a couple of trails behind there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like parallel trails that all run back there, and I tell my buddy in front, hey, do you hear that? And he's like, yeah, I hear it too. And we run up a little further, and this trail that I'm on kind of meshes together, almost like maybe within a few feet.
Like I converge a little bit.
Yeah.
together Before one
Okay.
peels off
Yeah.
back into the woods or something.
And
kind of
sure
thing.
enough, I don't think this guy realized he was catching up to us. I don't think we realized we were catching or slowing down to him. We kind of met right there, and he was facing me almost like chest forward, running straight
Mhm.
ahead. And I looked at him, and then the trail split
Okay.
again. That's I called out, hey, look, I got somebody here, and
Okay.
I turned into the next available little off trail and walked up maybe, 10 yards into it. And there's some guy standing there in cloak,
Okay.
what appeared to be a cloak, hood up,
Okay.
long black.
Like a monk's robe type thing.
Yeah,
with
long
hooded-
black robe
hooded,
kind of
okay.
thing.
Hood up over his head.
Yeah, and he's kind of standing there staring at like me, and I was kind of staring back at him, and I started walking towards him, and he kind of like started lunging towards me, you know, like
roostering
roostering
up.
up.
He's
you
going
know.
to terrify you, right? Mhm.
Yeah, so I just kept going towards him. I ended up grabbing a hold of him. We got into it.
Huh.
Did
he do anything confrontational to you outside of just maybe sticking his chest out at you and maybe looking a little aggressive? But
No, that was about all I needed.
Yeah.
okay, that was enough for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What, didn't he have some friends?
Yeah, so I take him to the ground. My buddies come up back behind me, and then all of a sudden, like this whirlwind of the trees start shaking, and we're just getting pelted with rocks and sticks and handfuls of dirt and kind of like all shielded up. And the guy stands up, and I tried to grab him back down by his outer garment. And when I pulled, he stripped out of his cloak, and oof, he took
Like
off
leaned
straight.
back on it or something?
Yeah. Kind of stumbled backwards a little bit, and we're getting pelted with this stuff, so we kind of retreated back to the main path for a second, or the cell phone tower path, whatever you would call that thing. And then we heard like a bunch of movement in there, and then we went back
So there's
in.
more of them in there. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went back in,
Mhm.
and by that time it was like they were scattered, gone. We're like, man.
Did
we
you
just-
show the garment yet?
Now
Or
there were a bunch
No?
of them, and there were two of you.
There was 3 of us and an unknown number of them. There could have
But it's funny. They all scattered. They were more afraid of a couple of you than
right.
a group of them. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
yeah.
there's kind of a twist to his story, and I'll get into it. I know
Okay,
this is
yeah.
radio; nobody can see
Anyway,
it.
this is the thing that you brought with you
But
today.
he brought
Which, of
home a
course-
souvenir.
which-
He's
which,
got
of
the
course,
garment with him.
we can't see this. This is radio, but actually it's a black robe,
Solid black.
solid black, and it does it have sleeves in it?
It's a little cut.
I was
like,
gonna say it's kind of primitively made. It's not like a real finished thing.
So there is no hood on it.
okay.
So I
this is a
Apparently,
shirt.
he was wearing a hoodie.
This is uniform.
he must have been
shirt
wearing
of
a
some sort.
hoodie
But
underneath.
This is like a cape-ish thing that would drape over you to like complete
okay.
the.
This is.
It's like a homemade thing.
So
So
this
it-
is actually I think it's a commercial work uniform. Oh, you know what this is? It's like isn't this like a lab coat?
Could
like
be.
like a black lab coat.
But the
like,
twist to me was when he told me this story. I know a lady that wears the robes out there
Okay.
and does stuff out
Yeah.
in those woods and tries to mess with people as well. And she knows somebody related with who she hangs around that was in those woods and was attacked and their clothing was taken. And I'm thinking
their clothing
you,
or their robe. Just the
well,
robe.
their robe thing.
I mean, they're not taking.
I mean,
all
it
the
ain't a
clothing.
robe, but
yeah, they're
that's
not, I mean,
Hanging
no,
shoes from the street
naked.
I
No.
mean, yeah, right.
No,
Streetwear.
they were out there doing funny business.
Oh, okay.
And so nothing like ritualistic from what I was told, but they're younger kids, so to speak, and they're just like a close knit of friends around those
Do these
cluster of
people-
homes by the
do
grove.
these people really know what they're doing, or are they just out there for the sake of just terrorizing people, or are they
Yeah.
actually doing some sort of a religious
well,
ceremony?
when we the information we got back then was that there was multiple Gothic groups that hang out back there and do whatever
Right.
they
Yeah.
do. One in particular was very aggressive towards anybody who goes in, and they weren't necessarily. They would just go back there to get high, drunk, whatever they would do, party back there, and then they would.
To do with,
Then they would terrorize the public. They'd come in and whether they physically attacked people, I'm sure they did. We witnessed the aftermath of one.
Yeah, it would be
Um,
interesting. I don't know if you ever took the time to do this, or if maybe the thought never really occurred to you. You kind of seem to have went into what your motive already said. But it would have been kind of interesting just to watch these people like from a distance, discreetly,
Yeah.
and see if they were actually lighting fires, doing
They were
something.
Well,
very
I tell
hard
you
to
what,
find.
the lady,
some sort of ceremony, something going
Sure.
on, or were they just there solely for the sake of shooting up, getting high, drinking, whatever, what
Yeah.
have you? Was that the thing? And then all of a sudden they get a little hopped up and they start getting aggressive towards people, or is it actually something that they're doing that is some sort of a ceremonial thing while they're there?
Sure.
Yeah, that would have.
well, no, some are ceremonial, some are aggressive, and I've only recently learned that the same lady that's been wearing this robe, she's been known to scream and yell at people to get the hell out of the cemetery.
Okay.
She stopped doing that, I guess, over 10 years ago, but she was doing that for a while.
So
and it doesn't
she's going there
surprise
for a
me
while
because
then if she's
she go in there stabbing the ground with a knife when I'm there. I mean, there's like really crazy, weird crap that goes down there at the Grove.
Yeah, we all know that.
But
Yeah,
it's like if I'm there,
yeah.
she didn't care. It was like no nothing. But she don't like do it when nobody when everybody's there. You know what I mean? So I got to witness some really weird crap from these kind of people.
Yeah, yeah.
They're-
Now,
they're-
you're
they're-
seeing this in the after hours, of course, at night.
Oh no, this was during the day.
Yeah, I seen some stuff there during the day, too.
No,
Some
this
people
is-
chanting and some things and all that, but nothing like that. Nobody stabbing the
But
ground.
they may fool around and try to scare people in their robes, but they also have their level of praying to the moon goddess
Okay.
and growing your own sage and doing some weird stuff, and
All
you
right,
know.
yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, they are in the cemetery. At least she is, and she used to scream and yell at people, "Get out of here! You don't belong here. This isn't for you." And blah
Well,
blah
it's
blah.
not for you either.
And
you know,
like,
you
well,
have, if you have a right to be there, everyone else has a right to be there
right.
also.
Again, she stopped doing that, but
Okay. Yeah.
anyway, I don't want to distract from the
Yeah.
story. So,
So anyway, you had a confrontation with this guy. You actually pulled this robe, which you brought with you today. You actually pulled this thing off of him, and you've got this for proof that these people are out there. Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
And then kind of back to the story I was telling originally. I kind of skipped ahead to it.
Mhm.
So yeah, when we had entered this one night, this was towards the tail end of even us going there any longer.
Okay.
We had a few back and forth confrontations with this group back there. I believe at this point they knew who we were, and
Yeah.
we kind of knew who
Yeah.
they were. They're very difficult to find, like you said, to come and watch them. We've never, in the years that I did it, we never came upon them, like without them knowing we were there.
Okay.
So it would have been very difficult to
To be discreet. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
By the time
yeah.
you got to whatever they were doing, they were already scattered and gone or watching
Plus,
you.
too,
or-
if these people are in dark robes and that, and it's night, they're a little difficult to see too. So.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so we went in, and I had mentioned that the people were coming out saying that there was people doing crazy things, with robes and whatnot in the cemetery, and we'd gotten in there or onto the main path, and we jogged the main path to about where the cemetery starts. Where
When you say the main path, do you mean the old Midlothian?
the old
Turnpike?
Midlothian
Okay,
Turnpike, yeah.
okay.
So it connects from that
Okay.
tunnel path, and then so when we get to about where you could see the cemetery fence, where it breaks to the right.
Okay.
There was some girl like hugging a tree,
Oh, geez.
like help me out. She was
I
yelling.
think you told this story to me once.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
yelling, "Help
Yeah,
me,
she was
help me,
very
help me!"
afraid. Yeah, very frightened.
And there was a man in the right in the entrance of the cemetery. He was on the ground. Looked like, I don't know if he had just gotten beat up or whatnot.
Oh, my.
Drunk
Okay.
or whatever, right?
Yeah,
You
I
don't
couldn't
know.
tell at the time. So we're like, hey, we gotta, forget these devil worshiper guys. Let's just get these people
Well, then you
out of
see
here.
him towards the pond, right?
No, that was a different story.
That was different.
Yes.
Okay.
So here we started to go towards these people, and I had stood up and yelled like, "Hey, MFers," just to startle everything. And
But another thing I'd like to kind of just to intervene for just a moment on this too. If these people are out there, they're being aggressive to other people, they're causing harm to other people, why not call the authorities?
Yeah, right. Like the cops are really gonna do anything, though.
yeah, I think two people are afraid that they're going to
You don't
get.
think so?
No, on occasion the cops are even afraid to go in there alone. They're not
That's
gonna.
interesting that
They're
the police
just.
are afraid to go in there.
I've called them out there during a grave digging, and they took the silver ceremonial shovel and just left and didn't care. They're just whatever.
Maybe, of course, too, they're probably by now kind of up to, where with all of this, too, because they probably over the years have gotten so many calls.
Yeah, it's
from things.
old. It's getting old.
Yeah, there's so many calls they've gotten.
I
out
think
there,
too, kids think like, well, if I call, I'm going to get in trouble for being in there, and I don't want to have to answer that to my parents.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
That could very well be, too. If you're calling and saying someone else is in there, they'll say, well, what are you doing in there?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so you're just as guilty as they.
Right.
So, yeah.
So so I kind of stand up and yell, and we see like two groups of guys in
These hooded
in the
people.
robes
yeah.
thing.
Scatter.
Yeah, okay. Oh.
One ran towards the pond, the lagoon.
Mm-hmm.
The other ran up towards the creek path.
Okay.
So we kind of split and chased, as far as we could, and boom, they were gone.
Okay.
The one group of my buddies came back, and they kind of helped. I don't know what they did with.
Interesting. They're sort of aggressive to other people, but yet when they see you, well, but maybe by this point,
By
they know
this
who you
point,
are.
this was at the
They
very,
know who
very
you are,
end.
so yeah.
Yeah, this was at the
Yeah.
very end of our entrances. We would have had one. We were planning on doing one more, and then I could, that got
Okay, yeah.
canned because of the police. But
Ah,
a
so
different
police
story.
finally did get involved. Okay.
Well, it was like Halloween night or something, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, that would be the night they would get
yeah.
involved. Yeah.
So that night there, we we kind of ran after them a little bit and whatever. They kind of scattered in the woods. I said, hey, we got to, let's go look around, make sure that there's nobody else around here. And we ended up bumping into 2 or 3 off the top of my head, 2 or 3 more young kids, like not even teenagers. I'd say maybe 12, 13 at the oldest. And they were kind of like cowering under like this old fallen tree, and I'm like, hey, are you guys all right?
They bit off a little more than they can chew. They didn't realize it was going to be this scary a thing.
Right.
Yeah, they didn't realize it was going to be quite this terrifying. Yeah.
Right. So we kind of helped them up, and we're like, hey, we're not going to hurt you. We're just going to get you out of here, okay? And so we take them out back down the main path, and when I meet up with my other buddies, they're like, hey, we sent those other guys down. They're gone, and they had found a couple more people in the cemetery hiding behind tombstones, and they sent them on their way. And we took these kids out when we were going to go with them because they're young. I don't want. I'd feel terrible if something happened to
sure,
kids
of course,
can't defend themselves.
They're kids, they're children. Yeah.
So we get up to the top by where like the sign would be, the entrance itself, and we made the right into that tunnel, that tunnel path that leads around. Because I'm like.
Okay.
They're like, oh, we don't want to go back in the woods. And we're like, hey, listen, man.
This
we
is
go
the way
out
out.
there.
This is it. Yeah, this is your way out.
The police are going to catch us,
Yeah.
Like, believe me, we're going to be able to protect you. We're going to get you out of here, And the whole time, you could feel, like, I don't know if it was just my intuition or whatever it was, but you could feel the presence of them walking with us, at a distance. Like, I felt it was almost like a pack of wolves, you know what I mean? And it just had this feeling of this
some
eerie,
sort of a sinister,
eerie feeling.
it's just something not quite right. Do we need to take a break? We're going to have to stop for just a moment and take a break, and then come on back with us, folks, and listen to more of this interesting stuff.
You're listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trzeciak from the John DeVito Broadcast Center on Jack-O-Lantern 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network.
It's very big.
On Wednesday, October the 31st, the year 2018. And this is Jack-O-Lantern 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois. And now back to Bob Trzeciak and Paranormal Radio.
Okay, we are back on. Thank you for coming back and listening with us. Just in case you're just kind of tuning in, maybe halfway through the broadcast or something, we have a gentleman with us, Paul. We will not give Paul's last name. He prefers to remain sort of anonymous, and I respect that with him. And then, of course, Pete Crapia, who could care less about being anonymous, and myself, Bob Trzeciak. And we're just talking about some of the shenanigans and some of the things that go on in Bachelors Grove Cemetery, some of these legends about this devil worship and all this that goes on back there, and some things that go on about some other people, some other groups there maybe being a little hostile towards people. And he actually brought in a robe that he actually took from a confrontation with some of these people. They wear these black hooded type robes that they wear. And when I first looked at this thing, it had like a tag sewn on the back, like you'd get from a clothing that you buy clothing. So it's not like a homemade type thing. But then when we had the break, Pete kind of held it up, and I could see it's cut in such a way that it does resemble like a cloak or a cape. It's cut that way, so you don't have like sleeves that you put your arms through, so it sort of fits loosely over your back, and it almost has like tails on the back, like a tuxedo type tail type thing to it. So it's just cut in a weird way.
It was made for the occasion, whatever occasion that would
Whatever
be.
that
I
was,
would
yeah,
say
yeah.
that my personal guess, is it was cut because I believe that the guy who followed us out, his job was to follow people out, and I think it was cut so he wasn't going to get hung up on things running through those thin trails on thorn bushes.
That would work.
I think it just
So these aren't robes that would be like, like down to the ground type thing like that. Something they can move a little freer.
This is not
Correct.
the kind of robe with the long
No, not at all.
Yeah, belted around the waist, that type
This
of
is
thing.
something more
It's like
flexible.
a vest with a cape on it.
Yeah, it's a little
Even
different,
almost made for the summer in a way.
Yeah.
Like
because
it's
this
cool.
all happened pretty much during the summer and sometimes into September. But
So, it's kind of a medium weight material, so it's not a real heavy fabric. So okay, well, any hoot. Yeah, interesting stuff. So basically, people go into the cemetery at night looking for the paranormal or whatever they are seeking there, and instead they get more than they bargained for because they get terrorized by people that start jumping out of the trees wearing black robes and terrorizing them and chasing them, and you go in there and come to their rescue and find people hovering behind tombstones, hugging trees that are crying and very
Correct.
afraid, and you kind of rescue them and get them out of there and that.
So he's not such a bad guy.
No.
well, that's what my mom always told me.
Yeah,
You're not a
yeah.
bad guy.
Any particular time? Well, maybe we shouldn't even be. Well, we can say it this way. If you don't want to answer, it's fine. If you don't want to give something out, maybe some information. But any particular time of year, like when this seems to be more active, or any particular days of the week when this is more active. So if you do want to go in there at night, which you're really not supposed to be in there anyway at night, but if you do want to go in there, and if you want to try to avoid this sort of hostile activity, these would be better nights to do it. Anything that you could say about that?
Yes, actually, back when we were doing this, and again, it was 2000 to 2004. I could maybe remember one other time, or having a confrontation with them, like 1, 2 in the morning. If you go very, very late, we rarely ever saw anybody there. Even regular curiosity seekers, once in a while, they'd come down.
So after the midnight hour.
Yeah, well, my experience, once it's 2 or 3 in the morning, like you're barely gonna run into somebody.
Yeah,
that's when you run into the ghosts, because those are like the witching hours, isn't it? Like 3 o'clock in the morning.
But right after sunset, you get that influx, and then maybe like that 10 o'clock thing, the 10 o'clock rush. I noticed, but I don't know what your experience was.
I'd say usually around 11 would be when we would usually run into them.
So after midnight, you'd be sort of safe. And I
would even say maybe even a little longer than that. Maybe about 1 a.m.
This has been some time ago.
Yes.
What compelled you to hang on to this thing all these years?
Wouldn't you? I would.
It was just such the whole experience of it. Like I think.
Did you ever wash this or do anything to it? Or you just kept it as it was, and that's it?
We got DNA.
I threw it in the back of my car, and I mean, I forgot about it, and years later, it would come back up. I'm like, oh man, this thing, I can't get rid of it. It's just, it was such a unique few years, of experiences that we had, and it's just, to me, it's just nice to have.
Okay, so what's happened since? You've sort of moved on to other things. This is no longer your thing. Do you do any more?
No, we don't do any. We tried to branch out during those years to find other locations that would have this presence there. Everything kind of came up empty for us. Not that that's not there, but we never found any evidence or anything like that. Bachelors Grove was the only place.
For some of these people, it is literally their backyard.
Yeah,
those homes around there, some of those those are some of those people.
Yeah.
So
and I think too the mystique
some of the people,
of the place
that are doing this, they're actually living
close by there.
Hop, skip, jump away from the place.
Maybe there's a reason they live so close.
So I don't know if that's why they wanted to live so close.
Yeah, possible.
Took advantage of being bored. Maybe and we live by the Grove.
But you, as far as the paranormal, nothing. You never seen any of the paranormals or anything except just this weird stuff going on like this.
Correct. Yeah. Maybe it was because when we were there, we never really took time to look for it.
Do you really take time to look for it, or do these things just happen?
That I don't know. I have zero experience in that
I'm
world.
actually surprised you haven't.
Yeah, really, I am too. Quite honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like you did spend quite a lot of time out there for a while.
We were, yeah.
But it's not, honestly, I'm surprised that at some point you didn't. Maybe you're just so involved with what you were doing.
I think we're so focused on that, and
our,
your adrenaline's up, and you're always kind of looking around, like waiting for something physical to jump out.
Yeah.
And
not even any weird lights. Not
nothing.
No flashlights. No balls of light zipping around. And
nothing.
No. I mean, well, you see plenty. People walking with flashlights lights that you assume are flashlights, but I couldn't say any particular time where I ran into anything.
So now, what was the end of the story here? Did these people finally disappear? Did you just sort of give up on it?
So,
are they still going there to your best of your knowledge?
That last story about guiding the people out, that was kind of our last confrontation with them. Even though we tried one big last ditch effort, we had some good information, what we thought was good information, from one of our outside sources that we kind of hooked up with. No, it wasn't Pete. I'd never met Pete before.
That's right. You didn't know. Yeah.
We met over the summer or whatever that was. I don't even remember what month it was.
I'll have to look at the video to get the exact day.
It was just a few months ago. So we got information that, and this is kind of a boring story because it doesn't end with anything exciting, but I'll tell you how we got there. So we got information that Halloween was falling, I believe, on a Sunday morning or Saturday. I believe it was a Sunday morning. So Saturday night was going to be a big thing for them. And we were like, there's going to be tons of police around. All the information that we were given was really spot on. And we spent weeks, like, finding a way around, like, the police and trying to really get good on those parallel trails behind the tunnel trail, and we would go in there in the daytime, and we found this area in the back across the creek It's kind of like a clearing. So if you walk, there's like a main, like the road continues. I'm assuming that's the road, correct?
Yeah. Past the creek, and then it's more covered with dirt.
Yeah. So then if you go into that, and I'd say maybe 50 yards, and that's just a guesstimation, there's a kind of a clearing area.
It's like a swampy area when it's wet.
Yeah, so he knows it. Of course, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And there was like a lot of like fallen trees, like big branches that were sitting around. They were kind of like in a circle at that time. We're like, oh, people are sitting back here, and it looked like a small little pit for like they'd hide a fire in, and like this has to be our spot. This has to be where they're at. So we had no other information other than what we were told and seeing that. So we kind of developed this whole plan around that spot, and we'd go in there during the day. We'd get this nice trail, and we'd find a way out, another trail that would lead us back out to, I believe, Ridgeland. And then that would be how we would escape, and spent a lot of time.
But the area was surrounded with cops.
So yeah, we spent a lot of time working that out, working those kinks out, and then the night came, and let me tell you, the blue light special was all over that place. Blueberries and cherries everywhere. We didn't even want to hey guys, let's not. They're not in there.
It wasn't.
There's no way
they
they're
bring
in
their
there.
dogs. Sometimes they got the ATVs.
We were chased out by dogs once.
Yeah.
Very, very in the beginning of it, we got chased out by the police dogs, and it was.
Did they turn them loose on you?
No. So we were across the creek itself, and they were on the cemetery side, and this was like our very first attempt to confront these guys, and there was like that big old tree that used to be hovered right next to the creek, and we made it to that point. We came in through the Gaelic Park, so we muscled our way through all that.
Oh, yeah.
Little did we know there was like another entrance, like right in that soccer field or anything. We went in through the thick of the woods,
Sure.
right down the creek, and we get to this big tree, and the whole walk there, though, I tell you, you can hear what sounded like moving, like people moving around, So I'm assuming at this point, looking back on it, that they saw the police in there and they hightailed it
Left.
out.
Okay.
While we were coming in like morons, they were leaving.
Well, Halloween would be a really high traffic.
Oh,
time.
Yeah, that was the Saturday night before
For
Halloween.
the uninformed, that's their night. Let's go walk in.
So yeah, we get to this tree and we're looking over there, and I could see like a light, like a flashlight kind of coming toward. They didn't see us or anything quite yet, and then I heard like the dispatcher, like the sound, the ominous sound. And I'm like, oh man, it's the police. And then you heard like the rattling and like the panting. I'm like, they got dogs. Like, we just took off as fast as we could, straight westbound, just ripping through thorn bushes and everything. I remember my buddy getting tangled up and stuff. I'm pushing him through like a linebacker, and we get, I don't know if the police actually crossed the creek and chased us out. They probably just thought maybe we were a startled deer. I mean, I don't know. They never really saw us. But just the whole idea of it was.
But that was the end, huh? So yeah.
Yeah. We that was I said I'd never go back.
Now you're gonna write all this down, right?
Actually, yeah. So a few years after this stuff occurred, when we would meet up. Now the guys I did this with, we're lifelong friends. I've known them 30 years now plus.
Okay. Yeah.
Most of them, and we'd meet up, and this always comes up.
Maybe it's time to rekindle it and go back for old times' sake.
No, I don't think so. But this always seems to come up, and we get such a kick out of telling these stories. And I remember I went back in during the daytime. I was just driving by, and I was like, man, I just gotta go see it again. And this was a couple years after, so this was like 2007.
Yeah.
And I came in that Gaelic Parkway. I still didn't know about the other entrance yet, and I made it to that last area that we were supposed to have our big confrontation, and I just like this feeling of like almost like sadness kind of came over me, like, hey, I miss the guys being here with me, and I felt like, how can I like keep this fresh, and so I decided that day I was gonna kind of write a story, and write a book about it, and it took many years because you kind of lose your steam with it, and then every Halloween season it kind of comes back. And,
sure, that's a normal. Yeah, there's a normal reaction to it too. And then what happens also too is after a while, your memory sort of fades on some things. If it's something that made a real strong impression on you, that will stay with you. But other little minor details
Correct.
and little things, your memory's gonna fade. So it's always best to kind of jot these things down right almost as they happen.
Correct.
If you think it's something that you may be using in the future, because memories do fade. We have other things that come up in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so that's
Yeah.
exactly what would happen here. And I remember these big moments, and I'm sure the other guys I'm with have their own other moments that maybe I had forgotten. And so we kind of talked about it and kind of tried to get as best detail as we could. The big picture is exactly the way the outcomes happened in the story. But it was hard to fill in the details.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know we ended up like this. I just forgot how we got there. So I would have to fill
There's
in
a story
little
in
bit.
here somewhere. Yeah.
Right.
From A to B, point A to point B. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
major ones, I can remember, like the confrontation with the guy on that parallel trail. Like, I remember that like it happened yesterday, escorting those people out.
Fortunately, through this whole thing, though, no one was actually hurt.
No.
No one actually got hurt. So
No,
that's
it was-
a good thing.
Yeah.
That no one actually, ended up getting shot or
Oh, God,
stabbed
no,
or hurt
no.
or in some horrible way or anything like that.
Well,
Good.
that was
So-
that was the main reason too why we felt like we had like these contradictory tactics. So like they would always try to pull us in to the woods, and we would always try to pull them out onto the open area. We felt like they couldn't hang with us in the open air, but we're like
They're pulling you into their space, and you're trying to get them
Right.
into yours.
So like when we first started going there, they would I think that they thought we were just the normal ghost hunter,
yeah.
and they would try to like give us something a little paranormal, so it would kind of catch our interest and see how we reacted to it.
Possibly spook you to get you out of there too.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then I think I know they realized that, hey, they're not in here for ghosts, they're in here for us. So they started using themselves as bait. And then when we would start to go towards them, they would go into some trail that they knew and try to make us go in after them. And we fell for that one time, and they
Ambush.
they ambushed us. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
they were all around. I mean,
Okay, now this has been some years have lapsed from this.
Yeah.
You haven't been there for a while. This is a part of your life that's somewhat over, so to speak, but nonetheless rekindled from time to time when you reveal
Sure.
stories like this. What's the gist of this now? Is this still going on in that cemetery? Are these people still there? Does anyone know?
I haven't been hearing anything. So
That's what I kind of thought myself. I thought, because I have not heard nothing
well, as far
about
as
this.
them taunting anybody, I mean, we got a guy out there that likes to bury human skulls and sell them.
He likes to
You
bury
think-
the
I'm not
skulls.
kidding.
Wait a minute. He
Oh, I've
buries
seen
them?
that. It's a human skull. This
Wait
is
a
legal,
minute.
by the way, to
He
have a human
buries
skull.
he buries the skull and then he sells the skull. If it's buried,
he
how do
does
you-
a thing where he
You
it's
bury it,
like,
you dig
it's
it
like
up,
a
and then you
ritual.
sell it,
He
or-
buries it at the grove, and then he will dig it up. It's part of the ritual, but then he will legally sell these things. Last I
Wait a
heard,
minute.
though, he got in trouble with the law.
I was going to say, how do you legally? Where do you get these skulls from?
eBay? Well, now Bandit, you can't. Like, what if you need body parts? eBay used to be a place until they said no more selling bones.
Oh no! Yeah, no.
How you get your bones is your business, but if you have it in your possession, well, guess it's okay. A-okay. There are certain states where it's not okay to sell, but it's just fine to own. That's fine. Oh yeah, I
Wait a
didn't
minute.
know anything
Wait a
about this
minute.
until after the guy
Hold
put the
it.
skull in my hand. I'm like,
You
oh,
can't-
this is the real deal.
It's illegal to sell, but it's okay to own. Well,
It's okay to own. Certain
own it, you
states
have to-
eventually got so, I guess, upset. They said, well, don't be selling them in our state, basically.
Well,
but if you
who's-
want to purchase them out of state, a school or whatever, there's people out there that have legitimate,
Well, yes,
what would
medical
be
schools,
considered
but
legitimate.
medical schools usually have like the whole skeleton, that type of thing.
Oh,
like that. They have-
I've seen the websites, man.
Sometimes
and
too,
they're
dentists
hosted
will
by
study,
people in the U.S.
They study the
and-
skulls like for dental work and things like that too. You have, but all right, that's medical.
That was
that's
a
it.
person, man. I don't know.
Jeez, I'd be curious to know, where do you get these skulls from that you're burying them in Bachelors Grove?
I'll
and
show you
selling
later
them?
online. How about that?
Jeez,
Just
yeah,
don't go
okay.
buying any,
Yeah,
please.
no, I don't want one. I don't want this. You kidding? I don't want somebody's skull.
So does this stuff happen out there? Yeah, it still happens
Yeah.
out there to some degree, but it's
What
kind
is
of
the
like
what is
they're
the
not-
idea? What is the idea of burying them in Bachelors Grove and then digging them up to sell them?
Oh, that's
Supposedly they're absorbing something from the
exactly.
ground or
It's
whatever.
absorbing some sort of
Yeah,
spiritual
yeah.
energy.
Oh,
you know?
gee, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting to note, man. I tell you, and no doubt he does this for a great sum of money too. These things are going.
Well, they're not cheap, but he does it for somebody else who runs the website, so it's like a personal thing that they do.
Well, wait a minute.
Now, the
if
burying
they have
the
a
skull thing
website-
is a special
Hold
option,
ti-
apparently,
time
because they
out.
don't advertise
If they
it
have
on their
a
on their website.
and they're selling these on a website, and it's illegal.
No. It's legal to sell. It just means like if I was living, I forget.
Wait,
what states
now
it
you
was.
hold it.
Could have been New
Pete.
York. What?
Now you're mixing me up.
What?
First you said it's legal to own, but not legal to sell.
I'll
Now you
write.
said
It's legal to
sell.
own. It's just legal to own. And then it came around to where I found eBay banned it, where you couldn't sell them on eBay.
Well, yeah.
But then it got to where certain places, I think it was like New York and somewhere else, were like, you can have them in our state, but just don't go selling them in your stores or selling them on the street out of the back of your van. They just made it like, you're not allowed to sell the body part. So it's like a loophole. Oh, go ahead, you can have your skull, but don't sell it here.
I just hope these people aren't going to, abandoned cemeteries and digging someone's loved ones up and selling skulls.
And that's the key.
Or
I guess
possibly
you have to
breaking
find
into
out.
private mausoleums or something and doing something like this.
Don't
Wow.
ask.
Yeah, really. I don't know if I want to know something like that. Yeah. Geesh. Okay. So, what's your new story then, or was this it?
Oh no, this is I can't hear myself on
I hear you
can
fine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I hear
I'm
you
not
fine.
Overly, I can't hear anything. Anyway, so if you're not following what I've been doing on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that, this will be new to you both.
You never have anything on Facebook.
Okay. Yeah, right.
You don't.
You're probably the wrong Facebook page.
I see. I see. I don't know what. Do you have more than one?
Yeah, no,
You don't.
no. Just the one.
I never see anything on your
There's somebody
Facebook
else
page.
pretending to be me. Maybe you're on that one.
Oh, you're another one of these too. I'm finding this lately too with these people that have more than one. They have imposters, impersonating.
Well, I should
them.
say they were pretending to be me. They're the only ones I sanctioned for years. I hated Facebook. I didn't want to touch it. So I just put their link on. I'm like, hey, and then they got like 10,000 likes, and that's like their page. But for some reason, they haven't talked on it in years. They got my old phone number up on there. They got my
your old
website
Las
address
Vegas
on
and
there.
all that and everything. Yeah.
And
yeah.
then
Yeah.
anyway, I don't know if that's the one you're looking at, but it hasn't been updated in years.
But when I message you on that
Okay,
one,
so
you get
let's.
the messages.
Here's the story. Here's the gist of it. This has got me wigging out, man.
I don't know,
I'm-
Pete.
I'm like, this
I
is-
got with you. I got to listen. You know how you
what's
read
funny
between
is
the
you
lines.
talk
I
about
got to listen
2004.
between the lines with
This
you.
goes back to 2004 in a way too. Okay, so here's the way this goes down. How do I even formulate this here? Okay, Richie, the guy who wears like the overalls out there, rides the bike, cleans the garbage cans.
The caretaker.
Yeah, well, he's not. Well, yeah, okay, so
I
you know who
he's
Richie
the guy they
is.
call the
Now,
caretaker.
he doesn't believe in the paranormal or anything like that. Okay, so
People-
he's not.
A lot of
into that
people
kind
think
thing.
he's paranormal. They think he's a ghost.
Exactly. That's the point.
That's the guy. Mhm.
The running joke is that Richie is the Bachelors Grove ghost. You be talking to him, and then you turn around and he's gone. Well, he just likes to walk away really fast. He pees a lot in the woods too, so he's got to go. He's got to do his thing. So that's the running joke. So I run about 4 or 5 guys, and we're down on the old trail by the creek, by the cemetery. And here we go again. These guys are freaked out, and they're like, do you know so-and-so? And they describe him like, oh, that's Richie. Well, yeah, well, he was just in the woods. He disappeared, and we turn around, and he's in the cemetery. I'm like, yeah, he does it all the time. They're like, no, dude, you don't understand. He just disappeared. I'm like, and I looking back on it, I'm like, they were all really upset. They're just telling me, no, dude, you don't understand. Like, Pete, you're an idiot. You're not listening to us. Like, he just disappeared.
I did have two
here's
younger
me.
guys that did that. I mean,
And I'm overlooking this shit.
They just vanished. They really did.
Like, come on. And then you turn around, he's in the cemetery. All right, so then fast forward. This gets really creepy. Then there's like one before the other. I'll tell the good one. So, well, they're all good, man, I guess. This is just wigging me out. So this past, 2 weeks ago, whatever. So I'm at the cemetery. I'm looking at the stupid fallen tree that's outside the gates, and I'm just videotaping it. And I'm done videotaping, what's up? You're touching my
No,
mic.
go ahead.
You're like molesting my microphone.
No,
What's
you're
going on?
fine. You just said you couldn't hear anything, and
All right. Yeah,
okay.
I can't hear anything,
Yeah.
but you can.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's all that matters. So I'm done videotaping the stupid tree. I put the tablet in my bag, and I look up, and there's Richie's coming by to say hi or something like that. And I reached down my bag to go get like a smoke or something. It was like 15 seconds, and I look up, and I'm like, "What is he hiding?" I mean, he was looking right at me. I'm like, the guy don't know how to play the hiding game,
He
right?
is disappearing.
Right. So I'm just like, I'm looking around the trees, and I'm like, and I look over at the cemetery, and there he is in the cemetery.
How did he do this so quick? Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. No, this ain't right.
He has the secret of dematerialization.
Now, I look on my video before I went to the bag. Remember, I just shut the camera off. Just put it in the bag. We're talking seconds. So I replay that video. In the background, he's in the cemetery the entire time. So whoever I saw was solid and real. No, it was Richie. It was.
Okay.
He had the full blue jean jacket, full blue jean jacket. It was the classic Richie. He even had sunglasses on. Okay.
Okay.
And he's talking to people in the cemetery, and those people vouched. They all looked at me like I was crazy. Like, dude, like, no, he's been here the whole time. Richie's gave me this famous spiel. Oh, the human mind plays tricks, does all sorts of funny things. And then it hit me later on. I'm like, wait a minute. This is where it got really creepy for me. I'm like, just about a week or so before, not even a month before that happened with the Richie event, I was talking to somebody in the cemetery. A couple came in through the gate. I look over, and I realized they're just staring at me. I thought maybe they recognized me from like YouTube or something. I look over, and they're still staring. And I'm still engaged in conversation, but they came up with, hey, to interrupt. Like, sorry, but weren't you just on the path? Like, what? How did you get here so fast? How did you get here before us? You were leaving.
So you think
And I'm thinking, no, they just made a mistake. Like, they're like, no, that's your bag. Now I have a military bag. It's not like something you can buy at Walmart. And they were so adamant. They were like, no, man, it was you. It was you. They kept repeating, no. And then they interrupted me like 2 other times, almost like a gnat to me. Like, God, leave me alone. That wasn't me on the path. They're like, really? That wasn't you? I mean, to them, they were convinced it was me walking down
possibly
the
they were
path.
seeing you. Possibly there's like something going on with a time warp here or something.
Well, that's the thing I've been sticking with for many years.
You may be coming to some of the clues why some of the strange activities happening.
Your
in the cemetery.
perception or whatever it is
Mhm.
of time is different there.
Yeah.
So now this past weekend, I'm out there just chilling on doing whatever on a Saturday, just real quick. And the guy who does the Bachelors Grove comic, you probably never met him yet. So he's out there, and he
Bachelors Grove comic.
Yeah, it's a Marvel interaction thing going on these days. Anyway, yeah, I know. Hey, it's the Grove.
I don't know what that is.
So
I don't know.
I'm like, hey, how you doing? And so a group comes walking by, and they're like, do you know anything about the place? They asked him, and then he turns and says, points to me and says, oh, there's your expert. Talk to him. Oh boy, here we go. Well, and they asked me what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen here? And I'm being honest. I'm like, well, I can't actually tell you. I go, maybe in 10, 20 years, I'll tell you. Actually, it's, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to tell the story because I don't want people going out there for the wrong reasons. And eventually, when I do tell the story, it's going to make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I can tell you about a really weird one that just happened a week ago for me. And that's when I told him about the disappearing Richie thing. And the thing about me and everything I just told you. Well, this lady, I'm looking at the whole time pretty much because she just has this look on her face. And eventually her mouth just dropped. And she says...
I had the same thing happen to me.
Well,
Is that what she says?
She goes, my mother and my godmother were coming to the Grove back around 2004 was how they calculated the math, how old she was at the time and all this crap, right? And there was some old guy just walking toward the Ruby Woods as they were coming to the cemetery. I guess he tipped his hat, acknowledged, how you doing? And being girls, I mean, it happens a lot. I know how it is out there. If you're like one guy and there's like 2 girls, they'll look behind them, they're a little nervous, But I guess they turned around after the guy walked past them and they didn't see the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, whoa, whatever, okay. But then they get to the cemetery and that same exact dude is in the cemetery.
Yeah.
It's like a time thing. Whatever this is.
I had...
And now it's not even just... And that takes it one step further because you're interacting with it, whatever this is. Now, what if that dude was in another timeline?
Yeah.
What if he turned around and the girls disappeared?
Well,
maybe I have one of those stories laying around and I just got to revisit it and reread it and go, oh my God.
About 17 years ago, I told you this story. I've told everybody. I've made this story very public. About 17 years ago, I was actually on someone else's ghost tour. But I don't think they're even still in business anymore. It was called 90 Night Ghost Tours. If they're still around, it was a nice little tour. But I was with them. And the young lady that was giving the tour, her name was Janine. So we brought the small group back there, and they're milling around by the tombstones and everything. And Jeannie and I go back to the, by the creek back there. And I sort of became disoriented. Been there many times. I know where everything is, but I could not find the foundations and the wells back there. Could not find it. Two young guys. Hey, you guys know where the foundations are in this? Oh, sure. They're right over here. Come on, we'll show you. Cross over the water, go over there, talk with them. Then I noticed that Janine's no longer with me. She left. She goes back to her group. I'm with the two guys. And we're just small talk, weather, foundations, this kind of thing. We're talking about that and everything like that. And I sort of glanced away and glanced back, and they're not anywhere to be seen. Two guys.
See, now that, but you didn't see them later, right?
I did not see them later.
See, now that's a common thing for me to
them
hear,
at all.
Besides the ritual.
And my very first instinct was, they're playing some sort of a gag on me.
Right.
They're playing a gag. And I'm looking around. Are they laying down somewhere? Are they hiding behind something? Did they shimmy up a tree this quickly?
This is still
Whatever
the same
they did.
kind of thing,
Nothing. I can't find hide nor hair of these guys. And then afterwards, I started thinking it. Okay, they got bell bottoms on. They're in T-shirts, just wearing. Everybody else has jackets. It's a cool day. Something just didn't kind of click here like that. And then later on, I told Janine about this. And I said, do you think you could remember those guys? Yeah, she goes, and she says, what happened, Bob? And I told her, and she says, that's why I didn't go with you. I kind of sensed. She was like a little in tune that there was something just not right
Gave you
here.
a heads up,
Yeah, but she goes back to her group, and she leaves me with the guys, now. But now, I don't know if this was a time warp type thing.
I hope
but
I run into myself.
I never seen these
that
guys
is going to
again.
be the ultimate.
Wouldn't
I
that
will
be
walk
cool?
up to myself. I will say hello. What year are you in?
This has happened before. There are things like this happening before where people claim to have seen a ghost, but the trouble is the ghost they're seeing is somebody that's still alive.
Well, that's what this is.
A very famous story was Mary Todd Lincoln herself. Mary Todd Lincoln, of course, who had all sorts of strange things and everything happen with her, and even more particularly so as she got older. She became very, very involved with spiritualism and the spiritualist movement and seances and mediums and contacting her dead sons, etc., so on and so on and so on. After they moved into the White House, she claimed to go into the Blue Room and see the ghost of John Tyler kneeling down on one knee and facing one of the small sofas that was
familiar.
there. And the trouble with this was, John Tyler did propose to his second wife in the Blue Room. We know that because he said so himself. But the trouble is, she claimed to see his ghost. He was still alive when she claimed to see his ghost. So, is this another case of a time warp? I don't know.
It's got to be time related to some degree.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, to them, it's looking solid and real.
Maybe this.
I'll assume that's what happened.
Maybe
to
we're
them.
kind of getting into something here, and maybe this is going to explain some of the strange phenomena at Bachelors Grove.
Well, time has always been a fascinating.
Maybe that
thing for
house
me.
is in a time warp. Maybe some of these spirits that we see are in a time warp, and they're
right.
The yellow suit man, all these things all these occurrences that go on out there,
Out at the Grove, you mean?
At the Grove.
Well, I don't think it's all time. But the Grove, a lot of stuff that's been going on out there that people are claiming to be ghostly, it seems to be more of a time aspect to it.
Is
And the
that
only
not
reason-
somewhat ghostly in and of itself? I know we're talking about two
You
different
could
things.
try saying that.
We're talking about two different
No,
things
this is like
here.
next level, man. This is
But is
something
time
much
travel
more intricate.
not also something supernatural in and of itself?
Well, if you can see and know the future, minutes, days, hours, weeks, years ahead of time, I mean, there's something to be said for that.
Well, we have a lot of people out there
Okay.
that claim they can.
Yeah. So, if you got experience with the time thing, I mean, this is like, hey, it's cool. Hey, I got another one of me just kind of walking around. But it really gives you something to think about.
It would be interesting if you, like you said, boy, that would be. I think it would almost be.
But that's a recent thing too.
A somewhat maddening thing to be able to see yourself. In a
Oh, I would
time
love
warp.
it. I would absolutely love it. If it was me walking down the path or something, I wouldn't take my eyes off me. I'd walk right up and I'd say hello. I'd go,
Hi, Pete, would you like to meet Pete?
knowing me, we would both converse until we probably disappeared. First thing we have to say is, what year is it?
Have you ever died before? Oh, I know you've died before. I've actually died 3 times on Facebook. People have written this
Oh,
about
that
me.
part, yeah.
Oh yeah, people have written this about me. Hey, you remember Bob that used to live in Summit and all this kind of thing? And I don't see him anymore in his house. Somebody else moved into the house he lived in. We don't see him around town anymore. We don't see him work at Subway and all this. And then someone says, I think he passed away. Another person says, yes, he did. He passed away. He died. And then I see this, I read it, and I go, wait a minute. So I read on Facebook and I put down, I'm sorry to disappoint everybody, but I am still here. I just happened to sell my home and move out to Elsip. So that's why for 3 years you haven't seen me around town.
So far,
That's
I
happened
I
3
haven't been
times to me
reported
already.
dead. Actually, what was funny, one time I had to get some really annoying Bachelors Grove fans off my back. I say fans in a real sarcastic way.
Annoying.
And they were just texting my phone and texting my phone and texting my phone. So I just let it go blank for a few days, and it just kept texting. And eventually I pretended like I was like my mom texting them back. Said, I'm sorry to inform you that Peter passed away.
Well, that's one way.
And they
to-
actually called the police department. Police were like, well, we can't tell you anything, even if he did. It's just we can't.
Why would
That's
they
it.
call the police department?
To find out if I was really
To find
dead.
out, in fact, if you were.
They were so convinced. Well, that was good. That's good. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Interesting stuff. Some good stuff came up here. Geez, let's see. Well, no, we kind of started a little late, so we're right about on time actually here. Any closing things, Paul?
I'll
Anything?
save.
You always got stories to tell. You've
Yeah.
always got.
Oh,
something.
yeah. Apparently, I even got more now.
Well, you're a ghost too in that one photo. So
Oh, the Ghost Adventures.
yeah,
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. John. Thanks for thinking I'm a ghost. Yeah.
Pete's in a ghost photos. And someone took of him and they said it was a
It was
ghost.
an
and it's
infrared
actually a
photo,
of
but it's
Pete.
just me bending down,
It's
looking at
Pete.
the something growing on a tree.
That's what
And yeah,
Paul, thank you so much, sir.
Oh,
Enjoy
yeah.
meeting you, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
You're
It
welcome
was
back
fun.
anytime you'd like to. Anytime you want to come back on, come on. Yeah, interesting stories there. I
Yeah,
like that stuff like
I think
that.
I'm just a one-trick pony though, so I thought.
No. Trust me,
it's the
everybody,
Grove. You ain't
Yeah.
escaping.
everybody has something to tell. Yeah, everybody has something to tell. Interesting. I just find it really fascinating that you hung on to this
Yeah.
robe thing all this time.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
disappears
Yeah.
for a while
Wear it
and
for
then
Halloween.
comes back.
Yeah, use it as your costume. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Wear it to the Grove a few times.
I
during
don't know, though.
Halloween
Is
and
it-
see
is
if
this-
the owner recognizes you? And you're
Is
like,
this activity
"Mother-"
Right.
But is this activity still going on out there that anyone knows?
I
of?
would
Pete may
s-
know this because he spends a little
What,
more
the
time out there at night.
satanic-y roby
yeah,
thing?
Yeah.
I think it's like cliche stuff probably now. Like
The
just-
stuff that I knew that was going on has now died down because I revealed part of their identity. Because they were not just harassing me, they were harassing others.
Ah.
And
So
is that a
when you reveal their
coincidence
identity,
that it's
then they
died
back
down
away.
now? Well,
I think at one time it may have been actual authentic. There may have
Correct.
actual
I
been
believe that.
people out there actually worshiping and doing whatever, which, okay, fine. There may have been authentic, but then I think maybe that story may have gotten a little exaggerated too, and maybe now it's just practical jokers and, well, not even practical jokers, but people trying to come across as this.
Yeah, I think
I've
they,
seen
I
like
think they
fake
like.
animals out there cut up and covered in fake blood,
See,
that's,
yeah,
like-
yeah. I used to see real animals covered up out there, cut up out there. One time, actually, a dog carcass. One time, two.
Yeah, we had one, too,
Because
on-
occasionally
on
I do little
video,
tours
yeah.
that I sponsor with some of the
Wasn't
park
the one of the
districts.
coyotes, right? It was dog
No,
dog?
I didn't see coyotes. No. And one time I did go in. They were like, I used to try to go out there like a couple days before I bring a group out. So if I did see anything, I would tell them, just in case this might bother you. But of course now it's pretty cleaned up out there anyway. But a couple times there were like some pheasant carcasses nailed up the trees in there and things. And that,
I got
so
pictures of that.
someone just recently spray painted a lot of pentagrams.
Yeah, I made Fox News in the morning. They were more interested in having the spray paint in the background than the headstones. Even the ladies in the studio were like, "Where are the headstones?" Oh, don't you rather see the spray paint?
Yeah, they're showing the trees with the
Yeah.
spray painting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too. Like when we were
Someone
even doing it.
the Mr. Rippett's stone that's laying down there flat.
But you can smell that's just
someone
kids.
spray painted on that. Yeah.
One time I left the cemetery, I not even for 5 minutes, came back, and there was all the spray paint, and there's a group of kids.
I
I'm
wish
like,
they wouldn't do that. I really.
so I
do.
walked up, I'm like, so where's the can? And they were just so scared, shaking, like, I know,
They
I
know
know
who
it's
you
you.
are.
I know it's
Yeah.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Knock it off.
Yeah. No, that's a shame. Go to these cemeteries, visit them, experience the paranormal, experience whatever it is you choose to experience, but please do not vandalize the cemeteries. Yeah, always remember these are someone's, even the people are long gone or whatever, but this was once someone's father, mother, brother, sister, loved one. You don't want to do
Sacred
that.
ground.
Yeah,
you
you
know.
don't want to do those kind of things. Go over there.
Or you can take it next level. Now you don't go after road people. We'll go after the spray painters. I hold them down. You spray paint them with their own can.
Spray paint a pentagram
But
on their
we,
back
we'll
or
be nice.
something.
We'll throw them in the pond to wash them off.
Right. Oh God! If I fell in that thing, I would just drown myself.
Oh yeah, that thing's icky, isn't it? That's one of the stories I've sort of. I don't know how you feel about this, Pete, but I as of late, of course, every October when you're there a lot, and when I do these talks and things, and the subject always comes up. People always ask about, the Capone mobsters dropping bodies off in the pond, and I don't think that ever was. I don't, because number one, for them to drive all the way from the city or wherever to drop bodies off way out there, there would have been a lot more.
If that was a thing, the Schmidt family would have known about it.
Well,
and I've talked to the Schmidts.
Well, not only that, but also too, that pond isn't that deep. If you're looking for a spot to conceal a body, I don't think that'd be the most
That'd be a
ideal
really
spot.
dumb place, in
Because
my
it
opinion.
would, exactly, because it's not that deep. And plus, people have been in there and things, and nothing's ever turned up. So I think that might have just been a nice little story that somebody started, but I don't think there's any truth to it. I really don't.
That's
you
the
know?
mob stuff.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that I don't think. Yeah. Okay.
Until next time.
Until next time. Thank you, Pete, for coming on again.
You're
Paul,
welcome.
thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're
yeah.
very welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice meeting you, and thank you for your stories. Interesting.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that a lot. John, you're going to take us out there? Folks, thank you so much for listening to Paranormal Radio. And don't forget to listen to all the other shows on the Windy City Network. Meet the Chicago Historians, Donna Sports, Chicago Junction, The Armchair Experts, Wealth and Wisdom. Catch the show on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS out here in Norwich, sort of a local station out here. We will be on Halloween there at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And then also, too, on YouTube, Paranormal Radio. YouTube, Bob Trzeciak, shows all pop up. And Windy City Network, www.windycityhometown.com. And they'll pop up. Everyone have a wonderful Halloween season. We'll see us all back on in November with, I'm not certain who. We got a couple people in line for the November show, but we'll see us all then. In the meantime, everyone have a wonderful Halloween, a safe Halloween, and we'll see you then. And thank you so much, folks, for listening. Have a wonderful evening and a great autumn.
You have been listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trzeciak from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack-O-Lantern 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich. Paranormal Radio was directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chikanda, and the executive station manager of WRHS FM, Mr. Kevin Zeflik. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Monday, October the 29th, the year 2018. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening. And this is Jack-O-Lantern 89.7 WRHS FM, Norwich, Illinois.